Okay, this is my bed. So this is going to be my last video for the night because I am really tired and it's like 6:40 a.m. I've been at this all night. I do want to point out, this in specific, I'm going to be posting some stuff about Officer Waylon Lolatai for the screensaver. Um, and this is actually with the Tillamook Headlight Herald about Officer David Martinez. Sorry. Let me scroll it up though, because the most important part for me is at the very bottom. And I encourage you guys to read the whole article, by the way. Um, right here, it says, in response to a question about Martinez's employment status with the city after the complaints at the meeting, George did not offer a direct response. Instead, he thanked those who had offered feedback at the meeting and said that any citizen who had a complaint about a city employee could file a complaint form that would be investigated. Um, Let me show you what one of those complaint forms look like. I had quite a few of them. I actually got a whole big stack at once. Problem is, they didn't go anywhere. Ended up moldy like this here. All right, they're probably in the mold bag somewhere. I haven't been able to dry out everything that got soaked. There's 2 or 3 other bags in here that are full of stuff that's soaked. I'm drying it out a little bit at a time. So we'll continue this though. Let's see. File a complaint form that would be investigated. All such inquiries are taken very seriously, George wrote. The city wants to reassure the public that it is committed to continuing to provide a high level of public service. Now, mind you, when I filled out those forms and tried to turn them in, I was sent around in circles and bullied. And I was ultimately sent to the DA's office because the victims' rights advocates were supposed to be there. It was not a victims' rights advocate, it was the DA's office bullying me for trying to turn it in. I mean, they were really mean. A lot of these places, they blow me off, but they're nice about it. A lot of these places blow me off and they're mean about it. Now, obviously, with me being ready to go to sleep, this is going to be my last video of the night. But it's about abuses by this officer here, one of the ones in my situation. And we're going to look up, that was when I looked up Officer David Martinez, Tillamook Police. But I'm going to try to type in Oregon State Police because, like I said, officer shuffling or predator shuffling. Give me a second. So there's an article in here. I must have typed the words wrong. He used to work for Oregon State Police. And he quit there amid accusations of abuse. It says March 18th, 2022, David Martinez was terminated from the Oregon State Police after they found he was, oh, that's a nice one right there. Oh, come on, let me read it. Oh, it's a PDF, so it's going to download it. Damn it. All right, so there's a whole PDF on it apparently, and I did not mean to download it, but I'm glad I have it. So he lost his job as a corrupt cop, and he was hired on by Ray Rao, another corrupt cop. How well did you think this was going to go, Tillamook? And those complaints that I was showing you in that article was after he was brought here. And there's also videos of him bullying me too and going out of his way to obstruct justice. So, what we were going to go over is, we can go over that in part again. That's in another phone. I've repeatedly had to get different phones. The last videos I showed you all the restricted numbers that I was getting. We'll scroll back all the way up through this stuff with Kylie, and we'll show you. First of all, these are threats against me. It's not me threatening Kylie. It's me sending evidence of abuse. See, Kylie was supposedly supposed to be an investigator for tfcc. This is the number I was given for her. And I sent her all of this stuff showing the threats against me and my friends and family. Like, there's a lot there. And then I sent her evidence of a threat against my life that's audio recorded.
Don't get me confused, man. I ain't no fucking PC. I'll stab you right in your fucking eyeball and kill your fucking ass. My fucking heartbeat.
You know, I mean, these aren't jokes. Then there's the many pictures of, oh, come on. It's not scrolling. There it goes. This one's not blurry. Restricted call after restricted call after restricted call. The police treated me like these were delusions. Obviously, nobody would call me that many times, even though I even pointed it in their face a couple of times to show them. They got an attitude with me for that. Look how many restricted calls. And then when the police call me from a restricted number, how am I supposed to know that it's a police officer? Especially when the majority of the time when I answer a restricted number, it's somebody to threaten to kill myself or my friends or family. No, that's not okay. So I've had to repeatedly change my number. And then people who are friends of mine that later decided to do predatory crap because they heard a rumor, when I have to try to turn them in, they pretend that because I changed my number that I was stalking them for multiple different numbers, even though we were friends during those periods of time. And they insinuate that I was changing my number because they were blocking all of them. That's definitely not the situation. We were friends previous to, in all of these situations, one particular instance where we stopped being friends. Now, of course, you guys got to see this stuff that they pretend doesn't exist. These are hate crimes. It's not just the harassment. These people are sending me stuff telling me that they're going to kill me and my family in a horrible fashion. Now then, of course, we've already used the term predator shuffling for David Martinez because he used to be with OSP and then now he's with Tillamook Police doing the same exact thing. And Waylon Lolatai, same thing there. That's the thing, is that it's horrible. Now, we are going to go through this evidence. Like I said, John Holland in this one tried to claim that paranoid delusions related to the police and agencies in Tillamook. Well, they treated me like I was delusional over people harming me over this stuff in A&E, over things that I never did, over rumors. These people who are assaulting me are accusing me of raping Natalie Bollinger, killing Natalie Bollinger, molesting Natalie Bollinger. None of those things are true. Natalie never accused me of raping her. She never accused me of molesting her. All right? And the guy who killed her is in prison for it. Now, I can show some more modern accusations of claiming that I killed Natalie Bollinger as well. And there's multiple situations where I've been threatened, abused, and coerced into literally taking the blame for crimes I did not commit. Like that one that I showed you at the very beginning. That guy wanted me to pretend I was a pedophile or he was going to rape and kill. You get to read that stuff. It's disgusting. But you don't stop to consider. I've been dealing with that since October of 2016. I am the one having to deal with actual stalkers and actual threats against my life and friends and family. Now, of course, the things that I said about those places turns out they're true. Right now, we're showing how many different people were actually involved in the process of giving me the runaround. All of these people got paid your tax dollars to do these things, by the way. John Holland, again, is one of those people who is a predator who is shuffled. Also, Officer, hold on a second. There's quite a few of them. Um, Sorry, I just got sidetracked with another situation over here as far as evidence goes. This is some of my medical stuff over here. And it talks about, well, my efforts to try to turn in the abuse in Tillamook County Jail and trying to get a hold of the DA, the sheriff, anybody. They just sent me around in circles. So I'm actually going to shut this video down because I am tired as hell. We're going to get started on this again tomorrow. Now, mind you, like I was just showing you, these people were already aware. This is from 4/22/2024. And April 17th of 2024 is when I sent all of that evidence of the abuse. So they pretended the abuse was a delusion, and they pretended that me being sent in circles was a delusion. Meanwhile, these people sent me in circles as well. So tomorrow we're going to get started on this and going through it, because this mental health crap is crap. Oh, we can't show evidence of people assaulting Sean because he's mentally ill. Therefore, he's not credible. So therefore, his evidence of being assaulted must not actually exist. The hell it don't. And then we're also going to go through the multiple psychological evaluations. We're going to go through some of this stuff from Deputy Taylor about the Natalie Bollinger case, which they wanted to pretend was a delusion. And we'll go over that as well. And here's even more from Deputy Taylor. There's also stuff from Deputy Fenewald, Deputy Chase Moody, Deputy David Fenewald. There's stuff in here from Mary Palominos. There's a lot in here. Now, I do want to point out here, we're going to go to one of these further pages in just to show you the Mary Lindsay, John Holland stuff. Let me see. So they tried to pretend like I was suicidal, and basically they just antagonized the shit out of me. The cops did the whole time I was in there. So we're looking for the ones where they're claiming that I'm delusional over my friend in Colorado who was killed. He continues to endorse agitation, threatening the officers, which I didn't, and they don't have any evidence of it because it never happened. It said, and was beating his head again on the window and smearing what appeared to be blood on the windows and doors. Now, did that happen? And was it just smearing? I was actually writing with my blood. Like, literally, you are forced to self-harm at this point. All right? At this point, they were locking me up again, for trying to turn in abuse. I had called 911 about that guy, Masim Vijan, the one who, at the beginning of that video, you get to hear him threatening to kill me. Of course, they pretend that's a delusion. And we're going to read this in its entirety later on. Let's see. Let me see. That's when they transferred me to the hospital, actually, it looks like. This one right here, I believe, is while I was at the hospital. This writer attended for the client. Client does not have an attorney. Exactly, I did not have an attorney. So they're making these decisions based on slander that I'm not allowed to show my side for, or speak up about, or show evidence about. I'm not allowed to nothing. It says this writer attended court for client. No, they didn't. Not for me. They did it for themselves and fucking slandered the situation, claiming these things are delusions where there's obvious evidence of it. And by this point, they had seen the evidence of it. And instead of admitting that these were not delusions at this point, they continued to proceed to pretend, this is the only part they cared about, pretend that I had threatened to kill one of them, which was not the case. And you'll see that repeatedly through this. The judge set the hearing over 1 week and asked the TFCC meet with the client to see if it is possible for the client to be released. They didn't meet with me. Instead, they ignored me for the whole week until there was another incident over abuse and me trying to turn it in, and the fact that John Holland literally was going out of his way not to do his job. Well, right here it talks about the dismissal of the case. It talks about how they were trying to pull the mentally ill thing. We'll get into that later. Let's see. We're trying to find the parts in specific where they're playing it off like Natalie Bollinger was not real. It says client will continue to perseverate on things such as his evidence. Well, you guys have gotten to see a bunch of that, haven't you? That people are hurting and stalking him. Well, we're going to actually sit down in the next video and go through this stuff and some of the stalking stuff too, and the places that I went, like Monica Bernal of Tides of a Change. Let's see. Prior to his arrest, client was calling emergency services constantly to report assaults and report officers that he felt were guilty of unknown crimes. These are not unknown crimes. Due to client's paranoia? No. It's not paranoia. Now, mind you, the excuse with both John Holland and Mary Lindsay is that they no longer work there anymore. And with Tammy Waddell, she no longer works there anymore. It says, due to client's paranoia, he records most of his interactions with people. I didn't start off recording most of my interactions with people, but here's where that evidence with Chris Stafford comes in. So you start off, somebody harms you, and you don't know they're going to harm you. You're not expecting it. And they come up and they assault you. Well, you didn't record it. So the police say they won't do anything about it because you didn't record it. So the next time they come around, you pull out your camera. You're not going to let them assault you. So you pull out your camera. And they assault you again. So now you have evidence that it's not a delusion. Correct? But you try to turn in that piece of evidence, and the police won't look at it. They want to send you to TFCC, or they want to send you to CARE, or places like that. So, at that point, they're going out of their way to use mental health to try to hide the fact that they've done anything wrong, and mental health is going right along with it. They know that these things are true. They're calling them delusions. Obviously, they know what they're saying is untrue. And this is the paperwork that I was supposed to go over with Miss Shelley, by the way. So then, of course, because I recorded it, if I record it when the situation starts, the officers say that they can't do anything about it because they don't know how it actually started. That's the middle of the situation. So then I don't know when these people are going to assault me, do I? So I have to record anytime that I go out in public, which is construed as paranoidly recording 24/7. It says he records most of his interactions with people. Well, yes, and that's what the attorneys told me to do. It says due to client's paranoia. No, due to attorney's instructions. Attorney's instructions. When I talk to these people, all right, it's their word versus mine, but because I'm called mentally ill, it's not their word versus mine, it's just theirs. I'm not heard. This is what the attorneys told me. This is exactly the situations that attorneys warn you about, especially as a disabled person. It says, was calling emergency services constantly. No, it wasn't constantly, but yes, I take this abuse daily. And most of the abuse I can't just turn in because I don't have the right information. I don't know who these people are that are assaulting me. It's somebody who heard a rumor. Heard a rumor that I killed some little girl in Colorado. So then they write, client presents as gravely disabled and unable to meet his basic needs. Well, yeah, I am disabled. It says client is being placed on NMI hold due to being a danger to himself. No, due to trying to turn in abuse and literally being forced to self-harm due to that abuse. Now, here's the thing. What is that abuse? In most of these cases, it's neglect, but not always. I was assaulted repeatedly while I was in there. I didn't have an attorney. I was being denied my rights. These guys were going out of their way to pretend that everything I said was a delusion, knowing full well that they were not. Same thing with CARE. Same thing with the police. Same thing with the sheriff's department. So there's a bunch of stuff in here. A bunch of stuff like that. And tomorrow we get to go through all of this. I'm trying to find the one in specific, though. There's one in here in specific where they're claiming that that the situation with Natalie was a delusion. Lieutenant Silvera is the guy who's in charge of the jail, and he's just a horrible excuse for a human being. Let's see. It says Sean denies any drug use other than occasional marijuana use. What are we looking for in specific? Let me pause this for a second while I find it. Well, let's continue. There's a bunch of stuff that they say in here. It's not true, but they say it anyway. Like at this point, this one is from, I want to say, and I should go through this and organize it better. This one is from 9/24/2024, I believe. And she's claiming, Sean agreed to the safe word phrase, no means no. That's a good one. That's actually pretty important. But to let officers know he needs to talk to a therapist. He does not want to see John Holland. All future contact or assessments during office hours should be done by Tammy Waddell or Rebecca Connors. Now, mind you, Tammy Waddell and Rebecca Connors are the rubber stamps that they tried to use to have me pegged as schizophrenic and or delusional. Same thing with John Holland and Mary, God, what's her last name? I can't remember. It's in here. Here's one. This is from Shayna Darnell. It says, client requested someone from TFCC to come talk to him at the jail. Client in isolation cell, malodorous and with poor hygiene. Now, mind you, I was in an isolation cell. Whether or not I am clean or not is dependent entirely upon whether or not the deputies will allow me to take a shower. And if she could smell me through a port that's like 18 inches wide by 4 inches tall, well, we need to take that into consideration. It said, client spoke softly and with courtesy throughout duration. Imagine how different it is when somebody talks to you with courtesy. She talked to me with courtesy. It says, client wanted to talk on camera, but no officer was available to record with body cam. Client shared his concerns about law enforcement, the justice system, and some of his past experiences. So this woman was at least, well, somewhat honest. Can you imagine that? Let's see. Patient continues on his fixed delusions of being harassed due to the murder of his friend. denies SI or HI, that's suicidal ideations or homicidal ideations. Like I said, that's the only part they care about. They're pretending that the actual abuse, there's three things that mandatory reporters have to do something about. That's if we want to hurt someone else, if we want to harm ourselves, or if others are harming us. And you notice, even though you guys have gotten to see lots of evidence of people harming me, these guys continue to ruminate on the delusion that this is all made up. That by calling me suicidal and homicidal, or pretending that I must be either, right? And then it says, and continues to refuse any medication. I wasn't offered any medication. That's the incredible part right there. I wasn't offered any medication. It says, states he is not crazy. It appears that he is unaware of his behaviors or his delusions. Well, you guys have gotten to see that they're not delusions. They were already aware that these were not delusions. And all of that evidence that they were sent, and the tiny part where they pretended like I threatened to kill one of their quote unquote crisis workers, there's evidence that these are not delusions. But they didn't want to see that. Let's see, it says, patient continues on his fixed delusions of being harassed due to the murder of his friend. Imagine that. It says he is unable to safety plan as he does not believe he is mentally unstable or that he is suicidal or homicidal. Well, that's because I'm not suicidal or homicidal. I want my life to end every single day, but I am not actively trying to kill myself. I'm actively trying to turn in evidence of the people who have assaulted me over crimes I didn't commit. And the fact that in all of this, until Deputy Taylor came out with this, all right, showing that this is a deputy, mind you. This isn't coming from me. This is a deputy verifying the stuff about Natalie Bollinger and A&E. And the fact is, this is what they pulled until this. After this, well, then I had my assessments. I showed these to my assessors. My assessors actually got on the internet and looked this stuff up, realized that they are not schizophrenic delusions, that I was telling the truth, and were not willing to call me schizophrenic, just like the doctor at the Longmont Hospital. Although the police officers at the Longmont Hospital in Colorado told them that I was schizophrenic, she wrote down very specifically that she had not observed any schizophrenic behaviors. And you get to see here, by this point, these are not assumptions that these might be delusions any longer. At this point, I've already tried to turn in very specifically these people to care. I've tried to turn them into the police. I've tried to turn them into the DA's office and to the victim's advocacy, and all of them treated me like I was schizophrenic and delusional for trying to turn this in. These are rubber stamps. This is literally evidence that even after the fact, knowing that these were not delusions, seeing the evidence, they continued to ruminate on the delusion that I was delusional, as well as continuing to, of course, pretend like they were victimized. Now you get to see, before there's any of the part where I had to type out what people were saying to me, where they could possibly pretend that it was a threat against them, there were literally dozens of screenshots. The very first one, starting with a variant of my name. They wrote SEAN instead of SHAWN. It is obvious that those were threats that were sent to me. Some of them were very specific. And yet, here they are, still continuing after the fact to continue to pretend that these are delusions over and over again. Over and over again through this. Now, once they realized that the A&E thing was real, because of the Tillamook County thing here from Deputy Taylor, well, then they started backtracking. They stopped mentioning my friend and how it was a delusion and just continued to use language to try to insinuate that I'm delusional. So what we're going to do here, I got all these papers out of order, and they're going to get even more out of order because I have to stack them all up so that I can put this all away and try to go to sleep. I guess before we go, I can show you Deputy Taylor. Like I said, predator shuffling. Tammy Waddell was predator shuffled. David Martinez, Officer David Martinez was predator shuffled. Officer Waylon Lolatai, obviously, predator shuffled. There were several of them in Chapel, Nebraska that were predator shuffled. Quite a few of them. Then, of course, half the people at TFCC are no longer there. They were shuffled out of there. What am I supposed to do with this? Like, they say that I can't turn these people in because they no longer work there. Alright, I had to pause for a second. I'm so tired my words aren't even working right. I'm trying to remember what it was I was even looking up. Oh yes, Officer Waylon Lolatai. Alright, so I typed up Waylon Lolatai, Boulder, Colorado. Oh, come on. There you go. Officers evading accountability by being allowed to go to other departments. Sorry, I didn't mean to press that. There's a YouTube video about him.
Boulder police officer Waylon Lolatai responded to a call about homeless people littering at Mapleton Ball
Hey man, I'm gonna tell you
Fields.
again, I ain't going to jail for obstruction. You understand me?
He's talking to Sammy Lawrence, a man who says he wanted to stand close by to watch this interaction at the scene.
Nope, you need to move farther away, and you're holding a weapon, so put it down. I've already obstructed.
Now, we can go into that later. That's not actually what I was trying to do. I was trying to scroll down to show you, but yeah, paid $95,000 for that one. He also resigned to avoid accountability. Says police officer Waylon Lolatai quits 2nd Colorado Department after excessive force. That's right. Let's see. It also talks about his violent accounts. He has an account where he promotes violence against the homeless and basically people who are vulnerable. And I'm trying to find that. He also, Sammy Leon Lawrence IV wasn't the only one. You guys might remember a few years back, Boulder police detained a man for picking up garbage in his yard. Officer Waylon Lolatai was the officer who pulled the gun on him, or had the shotgun in those videos. And then there's, of course, Miss Clark. Now, I spoke up for the other victims for a reason. Boulder police officer on leave after social media posts celebrating violence. Mind you, he was actually put on leave multiple times, and they actually took his firearm away from him. So, I mean, this is some pretty serious stuff, serious allegations, and, of course, very real. Now, one of the things I'm itching to show you guys is the evidence against him in my particular situation. But for the time being, we'll show you actual news articles and stuff like that so that you guys can, at least to some degree, understand that it's not just me. Now, of course, they worked together to help Oil and Lolatai get away and to prevent me from turning them in and to make sure that they were allowed to destroy body camera evidence, the same thing they've been doing here in Tillamook County. All of this over the Natalie Bollinger thing, which is apparently a delusion that I don't see how it could possibly be a delusion when there is video evidence. The police know there's video evidence. All of these people at TFCC, by this point in time, John Holland knew that there was video evidence, and yet he continued to proceed to pretend it was a delusion, even knowing that it was not. Why is that? Because by that point I had to turn in TFCC for not doing their jobs as mandatory reporters, resulting in multiple assaults and vandalism and a lot worse. Then there's the situation of being bullied by some of their staff, a lot of their staff actually. Now I'm not sure if you knew this, but there was 2 of the staff that worked there that were not bullies to me, and one of them was Shay Darnell. She doesn't work there anymore, by the way. One of the things that I've noticed is that people who actually look into my situation end up losing their jobs very quickly or end up being taken off of my case. So, yeah, it's a lot, I know, and I'm sorry there's so much of it. But understand that I have severe mental breakdowns just from thinking about doing what I'm doing now, which is going through this and showing it. After Deputy Taylor, thank goodness for Deputy Taylor, the one cop through all of this, he is the only cop who made an attempt to do the right thing. When these police officers realized how badly they'd screwed up, did they admit to their mistake and try to do the right thing? No, they did not. They doubled down. They went to these people at TFCC and these people at CARE, and of course, you get to see how that works out. You wash my back, I'll wash yours. Or is it you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours? So, what happened here? The police used mental health in order to call me mentally ill and prevent any and all evidence from going to court. They repeatedly assaulted me, threatened me, bullied me, and antagonized me. And of course, part of that, if you'll notice, the stuff that he was saying about the blood and hitting my head and all that, we're actually going to go into that situation because that's covered in all of this stuff right here. Mind you, like, this isn't just one piece of paper on these, okay? This is multiple sheets of paper. All right, it's a lot of sheets of paper here. I'm probably not going back in the right order, but who cares? It's going to get stacked up in a pile right over here, and hopefully I'll be able to get some sleep. We're going to go through the very specific situations day by day. And of course, the medical stuff here, where I was asking for the days that I was put in the chair. The thing is, when I explained to you the abuse and then the situation with the chair, the fact that I was trying to turn in abuse by Tillamook police as well as by TFCC, and I was literally had no attorney, and they were pulling this mentally ill crap, and John was supposed to come talk to me, and the judge told me that once I had a cordial conversation with John, that they would have to let me go. But John was not going to have a cordial conversation. He didn't even try showing up. Nope, he ignored it altogether until I was having to deal with a situation where I was being strapped into a chair for trying to turn in the abuse that I was going through there, including being held that long without an attorney, including being antagonized by officers, and then the mental health workers that I have to turn these crimes into are the very same motherfuckers who are pretending that I'm delusional. Like, this judge is a fucking idiot. Her name is Mary Trevino, and she is a moron. Look at all this overwhelming evidence that the stuff that they wanted to pretend are delusions are, in fact, backed up by video and audio evidence, as well as screenshot after screenshot and website after website. Dog bless America, right? So tomorrow, or today when I wake up, I get to go through and try to go through the videos that I posted tonight and post up links to some of the videos of evidence that should make it easier for people to see the actual evidence of a lot of the stuff I wasn't able to show in the videos and was only able to talk about. And then we'll pull all this crap out and start looking at it some more. Now, after the Deputy Taylor thing, like I said, I spoke to actually 5 different evaluators after that, by the way. None of them thought that I was schizophrenic or delusional, but not all of them made an evaluation. And we're starting to get to the point where we're about to go through my medical records and why it is they chose to ignore my medical records and then proceed to try to pretend that I'm schizophrenic and delusional and out to hurt myself and others. Now, this whole threat thing, no, it's absolutely not threats. People are threatening me. I show evidence of it. They pretend that the threats are delusions, even though they have evidence of it. You get to see, and we'll show you on this again, just in case you guys have forgotten this. We're going to show you one more time. Oh, come on. Yeah, I sleep all day. I'm sure you might have noticed that this right here, April 15th, is a long time before May, which is when those things came out. See, I sent this on April 15th. Here's the very first one. Obviously, it's not a threat towards them. It says, "Hello again, Sean," and then it proceeds to be threats against my life. It isn't threats against Kylie, it's threats against Sean. Imagine that. And this is before they put down on multiple pieces of paper that these were delusions, that this did not happen. Now, let's also show how much of it that they saw. Now, this right here, they used to pretend that I was threatening to kill them. Look how much of that. Look how much. Listen to this one.
Abuse. Don't get me confused, man. I ain't no fucking PC. I'll stab you right in your fucking eyeball and show your fucking ass. No fucking heartbeat. Never.
Yeah, that's very real. And of course, all these restricted numbers they pretend don't exist. All of that harassment. Yeah, are these delusions? No, they're not. They're absolutely not. But they locked me up for as long as they could. Lied, cheated, steal, destroy evidence, whatever. They repeatedly left me for over a month without an attorney. And of course, now that we're getting into the abuse at the jail, we're going to get into the attorney abuse as well. Like I said, these are all mandatory reporters, and all of them are too fucking lazy to do their goddamn jobs. And now they're covering up their mistakes. It's illegal.